Player 120 has won the hearts of fans. Many consider her one of the best characters in the series. However, the creation of this player originates from a heartbreaking real-life story. She is inspired by a transgender woman who was a soldier in South Korea. That's what we'll talk about here. Today on CharlieTales, I'll tell you everything about the origin of Player 120. Ready? Let's begin. Player 120's name is Gi-hun. She is a trans woman who joined the main group of protagonists in this new season. In the series, we are told that she was part of the Korean army, but was dismissed when she transitioned. The series also tells us that her life became very hard after this decision, as she faced discrimination from both her friends and family. She entered the Squid Game to win money and pay for the surgeries she still needed to complete her transition. The character clearly represents the difficulties and discrimination faced by trans people in South Korea and other countries. But more specifically, this character is based on a true story. I want to talk about Gi-hun, who could be considered South Korea's first transgender soldier. She began her military life as a cisgender male soldier. Her career was brilliant, but when she transitioned, she was dismissed from the army. She was a junior officer and a tank driver. Her vocation emerged at a very young age, as she attended a high school specializing in military sciences. She always had a natural love for military life. Her military career began when she enlisted in 2017. Everything seemed perfect, but few knew that she was suffering internally because she didn't identify with the gender she was born with. She received psychological assistance and was eventually diagnosed with gender dysphoria. The medical recommendation was for her to start a gender transition process. In 2019, Gi-hun requested leave from the army and used the time to travel to Thailand. There, she underwent gender reassignment surgery. She hoped that upon returning, she could continue her work in the army. But when she returned, things went wrong. She underwent a medical evaluation, and they discovered she no longer had male genitalia. Faced with this situation, she was classified as having a type of physical disability and was therefore deemed unfit to remain in the army. In 2020, she was discharged against her will. This broke Gi-hun's heart. She held a press conference asking to be allowed to continue in the army, as it had always been her dream. Let's remember that she had a deep love for her country and military life since her youth. Unfortunately, the army did not accept her reinstatement, and the battle moved to the courts. This sparked many controversies and cultural battles among human rights groups, the LGBTI community, and the South Korean government. Tragically, on March 3, 2021, Gi-hun was found dead in her home. Her death was considered a suicide due to severe depression caused by the discrimination she faced. Gi-hun's family inherited her legal battle, and civil society strongly spoke out for her. Hundreds of citizens paid tribute to her after her death. Gi-hun's story became a symbol of LGBTI rights in South Korea. After many legal battles, it was declared in 2021 that her military discharge was illegal. As a result, her records were changed from forced discharge to regular discharge. I want to explain the difference between these terms because it's very important. A forced discharge is when you're kicked out of the military for doing something wrong. On the other hand, a regular discharge occurs when a soldier completes their normal term in the army. This change was significant for Gi-hun's honor, as it meant she officially died as a soldier. In her records, she was no longer marked as having been dismissed. This detail also helped ensure that years later, her death was considered death in the line of duty. This has significant legal implications. By dying as a soldier, she could be buried in South Korea's national cemetery, which is reserved exclusively for soldiers. She could even now be considered a war veteran. Indeed, in 2024, Gi-hun's remains were transferred to the national cemetery. Her family's fight bore fruit. In the end, Gi-hun went down in history as a true soldier, just as she always wanted. Her struggle became a cornerstone of the LGBTI community in South Korea, and of course, inspired many stories. The most recent of these is Player 120 from Squid Game. The series director, Hwang Dong-hyuk, declared that Gi-hun's story was highly relevant to the development of this character. The connections to Player 120's story are evident. The woman in Squid Game told us that she was also a soldier in Korea, but was dismissed when she began her transition. She also mentioned that her plan was to go to Thailand to complete her final surgeries. This is the same place where Gi-hun underwent her gender transition. Player 120 perfectly represents the pain and frustration of trans people who are discriminated against in society. In fact, in several episodes, we see moments where she is discriminated against by other players. For example, in the pentathlon game, she tried to team up with some men, but they looked at her with disdain and kicked her out of their group. There's another example. In one scene, the elderly woman and her son saw player 120. Upon seeing her, the elderly woman made a derogatory comment about her appearance. This is a clear example of the discrimination these individuals face. They are judged without even being known. It's very significant that in this scene, the discrimination came from the elderly woman, as she is portrayed in the story as a good person who cares for her son. The scene teaches us that even good people can harbor prejudices. Of course, in later episodes, the elderly woman realized her mistake and showed great respect for Hyun-ju. This detail is important because the series also shows that people can change and leave their prejudices behind. Another important point is that in several scenes, player 120 demonstrated her worth beyond her gender identity. In many scenes, she showed herself to be brave, strong, and a great friend. She had much to offer, but initially, no one wanted to give her a chance. This also happens in reality. In our society, LGBTI individuals face many prejudices that prevent them from showing their value as people. They are immediately dismissed because of their gender identity. This happened to Byun Hee-soo, the Korean soldier. She was someone who loved military life and deeply appreciated her country. But when her transgender status was discovered, she was abandoned. She could have had a brilliant military career, but she was not allowed to. The series director explained that he created Player 120 to reflect the struggles of the LGBTI community in South Korea. The goal is for this representation to create space for voices that have been historically silenced. The character has also been surrounded by controversies because she is portrayed by a cisgender actor. Considering that the character was created to represent the struggles of the transgender community, it was logical to expect a transgender actor to portray her. When asked about this, the director responded that he did want to work with a transgender actor. He even worked with consultants from the LGBTI community. However, his idea could not be realized for a very specific reason. During his research, he discovered that there are almost no openly transgender or gay actors in Korea. This greatly complicated the casting process. For this reason, he was forced to choose a cisgender actor. The director has stated that this was unfortunate. In Korean society, the LGBTI community is still heavily marginalized, which significantly reduces opportunities for transgender artists. Despite the controversies, Player 120 has won the hearts of fans and is one of the characters we most look forward to seeing shine in Season 3. At the end of Season 2, she survived, so it's almost certain we'll see her participating in the Squid Game finals. Now that Gi-hun's best friend has died, she will likely take on a more prominent role. Her help will be essential for Gi-hun to accomplish his mission. That's all for today. If you liked the video, you'd really help me out by leaving a like. That would be legendary. Also, remember to subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks for listening. My name is Charlie, and I'll see you in the future.